Look at this hair, you were not ready for this level of growth. What's happening, guys and girls? I know it's been a while, it's been 3 months to be precise since I posted a video, but now I am back. Now I broke the #1 rule on YouTube, which is to not be consistent. Naughty me. But believe it or not, I have actually been riding loads during lockdown. Far more than I had before when I was commuting, and actually for the better. So now that I'm back from my little hiatus, I have lots of things that I want to show you guys, discuss with you guys in this video and in future videos. New clothing, heart rate monitor, new GPS, carbon road shoes, new bib shorts, turbo trainer. All these things, I'm going to post videos on topics, how they've helped me improve, how I'm using them to kind of improve my riding in general. And that's just a few things. I've got different routes and other things I'm going to discuss in future videos. The list goes on. All of these things combined, they help me do a couple of things. They've helped me improve my fitness. They've helped me sort of push from commuting 12 miles a day, 6 miles each way, to doing my first 100-mile ride. I also done first marathon week where I done 50 miles a day for 5 days. Now I want to share with you all of these experience, and I've had these 3 months where I've just been riding. My whole focus has kind of changed, which is one of the reasons why the videos have been much slower. I had a lot of videos planned, and then obviously with lockdown, I couldn't then do any of them videos. There are a few key things that have changed. Now, the first thing that changed, or has caused the biggest change, is working from home. And now that I work from home, the routes that I can go on are different, and the timings that I can go are also different. Before, I was commuting 6 miles to work and 6 miles home from work, so that was kind of my daily riding. Whereas now I can kind of ride for an hour, maybe about 20 miles, or if I go earlier in the morning, could do further. So that's kind of been the biggest change. And what I've been doing, I've been riding from Stratford, northeast, out through Epping Forest and into Essex basically. And when you get out there, the riding is so much better. It's faster pace, it's more consistent, you can be much better with your training, and yeah, just kind of better rides. Also, it's country roads, it's quiet, there's no cars, especially at the start of lockdown, there was hardly any cars. It's been quite a revelation really. And what I'm going to do in some future videos is share with you those routes and share my routes out of London on the quietest and best roads to show you how you can ride 30, 40, 50 miles into Essex and on these nice roads. For now, if you do want to see some of those routes, I'll put my Strava in the description below. After sort of discovering these routes and changing the way I ride and the distance that I've been riding, I've actually gone through massive changes physically in my body. So I've lost 3 kilos. Before I was kind of about 50-50 in the gym to riding. So it wasn't really my sole focus. Whereas obviously now being at home, I don't really have the facilities that I did at the gym. My focus has been on riding, and part of that has been losing 3 kilos, which has actually helped the pace when riding. That's mainly 3 kilos of body fat as well. Obviously there's some muscle loss there because I haven't been training as much in the gym. But yeah, that's helped. So my fitness has gone through the roof and I'm a little bit lighter. It's been quite a transitioning from a commuter to actually getting into cycling and ride at longer distances, and actually kind of training for it and training my body to be better, because I'm always trying to push myself, and that leads me on to my challenge to complete my first 100-mile ride. I'm sure many of you watching have done 100-mile rides, maybe many of you haven't, and commuting like myself. 2 years ago, I started commuting to work on a hybrid bike, nice and slow, and then I only bought my first road bike just over a year ago. So I haven't been on a road bike for that long. With all these things in mind, I was pushing myself. I decided to set myself a challenge to ride 100 miles. Now, I kind of realised there's a few key factors in riding distance. Obviously there's lots of factors, lots of variables, but the 2 I wanted to focus on is speed and wind. Riding 100 miles at 10 mile an hour is very different to riding 100 mile an hour at 20 mile an hour. So I wanted to set myself a goal in terms of the speed that I ride. That has actually jumped up massively as well, and my average speeds now will vary between 18 mile an hour and 20 mile an hour average on a ride. That's like a 30, 40 or 50 mile ride, for example. Now, as you can see from my Strava, I made it. So there's a few things that I wanted to point out and just show you guys. So it was the first ride. We actually had one of the roads was closed and it was a key little cut through road. So we actually ended up doing 106 miles in total. I did ride with my friend, the Big Stack. He's been in many of these videos. So riding as a pair is a little easier as well, taking in turns at the front. You can see that average speed was 18.4 miles an hour. Pleased with that speed. I didn't have my heart rate monitor at that time, so I couldn't monitor the heart rate data, but I will be doing a video on heart rate monitor and how that's also affecting my riding, help me transition into sort of these longer distances and help me understand how my body is reacting to the riding that I'm doing when I need to take rest weeks, rest days, etc, etc. This was the route that I took, so went from, let's make that a little larger. So we went from Stratford, out through Epping Forest, through Chigwell, and then all the way out, Chipping Ongar, towards Chelmsford. So we went up this right hand side first, so the way out was the right hand side of this route, up through Chelmsford. And these roads are all amazing, so it was really good actually. It was a stunning ride, the weather was good. Back down the left is kind of similar all the way, and then back through Chigwell. And this bit down here is kind of the best route out of London that I found. I've done quite a few out now, and I'll do a little video on that route and a smaller route around Epping Forest as well, to show you guys how you can get out of London nice and quick into the forest and the nice country roads. So we can see the elevation as well, 4,500 foot. So yeah, it was quite a tough ride at times. I'd done a 75-mile ride before that, so the first 75 miles weren't too bad. 50 to 75, legs started feeling it, and then after that it was hard. I could feel my legs burning, and yeah, it was a real push to get back, but very, very rewarding, and I'm super pleased that I've done this ride actually. Even looking at it now, it feels good. Guys, a little confession, I don't have any footage. As you've seen, you know I would have been putting it in this video. I haven't really been taking the GoPro out. I've been focusing on the rides themselves, and because I kind of changed from commuting and my riding changed, I stopped doing the videos a little bit. So I don't actually have any footage, which is, I'm just as annoyed as you guys that there's no footage of that. But I will be doing more rides, more challenges, so I will be filming them from now on. I want to get them so I can remember them and I can show you guys exactly how I done them and how I got to that level. I also wanted to set myself another challenge, and what I decided to do was to ride 250 miles in 5 days. So that's 50 miles a day. Now this was actually last week, so the week that ended on the 3rd of July, which was my birthday. And yeah, on the Monday was going to be the first day of 50 through to Friday. And that was actually different because you're looking at endurance, and to do everything on one day, you can kind of build yourself up to that one day. Like I said, you can have a quiet week, prepare your body, and you go. Doing 50 miles a day, or having done it, what I can say now is mentally I found it harder. I found it much harder, purely because there's days where you're tired and you have to keep pushing and you can't control the weather. Then you say, okay, I'm going to go for those 5 days. It could be really windy on 2 of those days, 3 of those days, as it was. It could be raining, as it was. So it's very different. When I done the long ride, I was very specific in the build up, and I picked the right day. Riding 5 days consistently was very, very different. And the first day was good pace, went out and yeah, kind of flew through it. Thought this is going to be all right. Second day, it was colder, it was wet as well. It was actually a failed ride. It was my first ever failed ride. And the Big Stack, who I ride with, he got a puncture 17 miles in and took the tyre off, checked all the tyre, couldn't see anything in the tyre, no glass, etc. We both checked, in went the new tyre, pumped that up, ready to go. At this point, we've got cold as well. It was raining, so we were getting wet. A mile down the road, it went again. Fixed it. This time we thought we found something in the tyre, fixed it again, rode another mile down the road, and it went again. So there's 3 inner tubes done, that's it, we're stuck. So that was 17 miles in. We checked the tyre again when we got back, or George, the Big Stack, checked it all, and there was nothing in there that he could see. It's been fixed and working since, so not sure what that was. Maybe us being tired, not doing it right on the day, who knows. But yeah, that was a failed ride on day 2. So when we got back, we jumped on the turbo trainer. Each of us done like 35 miles on the turbo trainer to make up the miles so that we achieved the 50 miles for the day. Now the third, fourth and fifth day were good and consistent, but they were much slower. We averaged, I think the speeds were more like 17 miles an hour a day average, which when you consider, 105 miles for 18.4 was it, miles per hour average. So to drop it down to 17 in the 17s and low 17s as well, just showed that the tiredness was kicking in and it was harder. And my admiration to anyone that does these endurance rides day after day after day, pumping out the miles. It was tough. I'd found that much tougher than doing a long ride, an individual long ride. So those are the two challenges that I've done. That is the change in the riding and how my riding style has changed from commuting, essentially 12 miles a day, to doing 100-mile rides and a 250-mile week in 5 days. And it's been really good. There's been lots of things I've done, and I want to kind of show you guys how I've done that, because that's kind of helped me go from this level here up to this level here. I'm still pushing, I'm still trying to go further, harder and faster, but it's been an interesting transition, and being in lockdown, having an outlet like this where you can essentially go and ride and get some fresh air and be outdoors essentially has been great. There will be more challenges to come, and I promise you I'll film those ones, I'll get the footage, I'll be looking at routes out of London. I've got a few videos planned to show you guys, to help you guys progress. If there's anything you do want to see, then do comment below and I'll see if I can create a video on that, create some content in and around that. So drop a subscribe if you do want to see those videos. Thanks again for joining me in this video. Sorry that I've been away for so long, and I'll promise you more videos are in the pipeline. See you soon.